Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to episode 8 of A Mirror of Shadows. Still with the spooktacular intro because I have not had a moment to redo it. But you know what? It's a fun intro. It's amazing. We're here for it. It is all good. I am so excited to read this. I have 12 pages here for you. Oops, this one's turned the wrong way. I have 12 pages to read today, almost 5,000 words. And when I tell you, that I have basically gone completely off script with my edits. This is not an exaggeration. So I legit worked on this last night, worked on it all morning from the minute I got up and just finished and printed it out at exactly 2:22 this afternoon. And in my time zone, it is 3:01, so less than 40 minutes ago. Um, we are loving it. We are enjoying it. However, at this point, I would like to say episode 8, Timona. But yes, we will still continue to do a good giveaway. Just do episode 8 instead of 7. Um, at this point, I would like to remind you that this is an experimental reading and may not be completely perfect. It's like I am following thank you, Crystal, there we go. I am following my intuition and my instincts as a storyteller, and I'm having fun, but at this point, you are hearing a rough draft reading. And what I love about this is that I know that those of you that are here for it are here for it, and it makes me so happy to know that. And I know that even if it's not perfect, you guys will love it. And then when you get to read it, once I've edited it, you'll get to experience it again with even better pacing and writing. But it is really fun and I love it. Like it is one of the most im- like magical experiences of my life to get the opportunity to have this sort of chapter by chapter, not having to, I don't know, it's just a different kind of experience to let the inspiration take over and to feel the exhilaration of like, oh, this is what it needs to be. And it's like there's something special for certain kinds of brains like mine. I know many of you are also procrastinators. There's something special about that like deadline. It's got to be done by tomorrow that can just light a fire under you and make your brain like hyper focus. And there are times when that is not healthy. But also there are times when it can really help. And so my promise to myself as well as you is if it gets to a point where it doesn't feel healthy, we'll just take another break. And as long as it's enjoyable, we'll keep going. And as long as I know I have your support, then we're all good and there's no stress. Patty says, how are you feeling after your procedure? So I updated this on my vlog yesterday, but I know not everybody watches those. And sadly, they couldn't do the procedure. It turns out it's too complex for them to do in office. So I will have to have surgery. And it's not going to be a major surgery like, whatever they call it when they put you under anesthesia. It'll just be like local anesthesia, outpatient surgery, but it's a little bit more complicated and potentially longer recovery than I expected. So now I have to wait for the surgeon to get the referral and contact me and all of that. And I needed a lot of medication and other things to help. And it's just like, man. And I will say, like, she told me that she believes all of these flare-ups and issues are from this will be a danger warning to us all. So I have PCOS, which we all know because I've mentioned it a lot, but well, maybe not everybody knows, but um, she said she believes that all of this is caused by my pneumonia earlier this year that I didn't properly rest for. And one of the most frustrating things as somebody who has a lot of goals, which I know many of you can relate to, is being forced into rest and feeling like you can't get it all done, especially when you're already behind. But let this be a reminder to you that your body will force you to take the break you need or you will pay for it. And so I am currently paying for it. So that is why I'm making this promise to myself and to you that if it gets to a point where this is adding more stress to my life, I will not do it. I'll just take a break, right? But for now, we are in it, and this is bringing me so much joy. So I'm excited for this episode because we're in the middle of the second half of Act 2, or if you do a 4-act structure, we're in Act 3 of 4. So Friday's episode will kind of be the doorway into the climax of the book. And so we've got some stuff that we have to set up, and I hope you love it. We're going to get a little bit more of Orion today, which I hope you will love. And, it's going to be good. So let's jump right into it. And when, when we finish, I will talk a little bit more about Friday's episode and our plans for that. But this little Kuromi key that I bought keeps jumping off my keyboard. Go back. Go home. Okay, here we go. Whew. All right. This is episode 8. They've always been watching you. The mess hall was half empty, filled with the scent of burnt coffee and cinnamon. Crystals along the ceiling flickered weakly, casting everything in shades of gray. Callie slid a tray across the table and sat down across from me. You look like you haven't slept in days. I stabbed at the strange yellow fruit on my plate. Could you sleep after what happened with the regent? I kept my voice low, glancing around. I'd felt eyes on me ever since the threat on my life. A pair of sentinels stood near the exit, not eating, not talking, just watching. Were they here for me? As if my situation here weren't terrifying or complicated enough. Callie smirked, dunking her bread into honey. I'm way less interested in what happened with her. My throat tightened. I don't know what you're talking about. Uh-huh. She leaned forward, elbows on the table. That's exactly the kind of thing someone says when they know exactly what I'm talking about. I've known Slate for years now. He's never shown the slightest hint of emotion, not until yesterday. I avoided her gaze, my foot jumping under the table. He's just worried about whether I'm cut out for this. I'm an obvious liability to everyone here. You are not a liability. You are a weapon. You just need to learn how to aim it, she said. But that's not why Slate looks at you the way he does. And the way literal sparks flew between you just before the regent arrived, I'm telling you the air was so thick I could hardly breathe. There's something you're not telling me. I glared at her, but she only grinned wider. Callie had that kind of grin that could convince you to be her accomplice to a crime and then make you think it was all your idea. How can you be thinking about something like that when the games are just a little more than a week away? I can't even sleep, eat, or dream about anything else. What if I get everyone killed? What if we all... Sorry. What if we all die out there? Something in my tone must have gotten through because instead of teasing me or cracking another joke, her expression softened. Listen, we are going to win this first set of games, no problem. Our team is strong and we can win this. I'm going to take a drink. Should have a cough drop here. Our team is strong and we can win this, even if we have to carry you through the whole thing. Not that we will, but we could. However, I'm going to need you to figure your ish out before the main shadow games, because those are much more dangerous. I groaned. I didn't even know how long we'd have between these games and the next. Would it even be enough? Well, I'm glad you're feeling confident about it. But what happens when we end up in a situation where each person has to carry out a task alone, or we end up separated from each other and I can't finish my task because I'm too weak? We don't have enough time for me to figure this out, and we have no idea what kind of game they'll throw at us. Trust me when I say that any team, even the strongest, most prepared team of all time, could die in that arena, she said, her expression distant for the briefest moment. Once we step into the games, the actual odds are out of our hands. Live or die, we'll give it our all. But if we decide right now that we can't do it, we're already dead. We have to try. And you're part of my team, so I have to trust that you can do this. Her words took some of the stress off my heart, but I couldn't find that level of confidence yet. I was determined to prove myself and get the regent off my back, and I had no doubt Slate was preparing to push me as hard as humanly possible today and for the next week or two. Still, I was scared. Callie slid a small crystal across the table, its pure pink surface shimmering faintly. "For luck," she said. "Crows love to carry something shiny when we fly into danger." I turned it over in my hand. "You sure you don't need it more than I do?" "These days I make my own luck," she said with a wink. "You, on the other hand, could use a little protection. Besides, this stone has kept me safe even in the most dangerous situations of my life. It will keep you safe too, I'm sure of it." "Thank you," I said, truly touched by the gesture. I had nothing of my own in this place, just the dragonfly pendant, which seemed to be causing more harm than good, and the uniforms they'd assigned to me when I got to the training sessions. But this was mine, and I was instantly in love with it. "I'll give it back to you after we win." "No, that one's yours forever," she said, smiling as mischief filled her blue eyes. "We'll help you learn control, Bex, but in the meantime, it might be helpful to tell me what's going on with you and our fearless leader. Maybe I can help with that too, or at least it might help not to carry all that worry alone." I didn't want to carry this alone, but I wasn't sure I could trust anyone with the truth. I liked Callie, but I'd loved Maggie, and she still betrayed me after years of friendship. For all I knew, Callie was planted in our group by the regent to spy on Slate or me or someone else. I couldn't really trust anyone but myself. But still, maybe she could help if she knew how it was all affecting me. I pressed my palm against the mark. "Whatever it is between us, it's making everything harder. Even just thinking of him makes my magic go wild. It's uncontrollable." Callie tilted her head, studying me with that witch's intuition of hers. "You ever think maybe that's your superpower?" Before I could ask what she meant, the bell sounded, a deep, resonant tone that vibrated through the floor. Callie groaned, tipping back her cup to drain it. And so begins another day in paradise. We joined the stream of trainees moving toward the arenas, 5 teams, all technically fighting for the amethyst shard. In less than 2 weeks, we'd be opponents, fighting to death in the games. The air felt heavier than usual today, maybe because the reality of my situation was finally sinking in after the initial shock of being trapped here. I'd been on the edge of death for weeks now, and I wasn't sure how much more I could take. But what choice did I have? I couldn't exactly curl up in bed and refuse to come out. I couldn't fall apart either. The only choice I had was to face this with as much strength and courage as I could. And that meant finding a way to control this power. For the sake of my team, if nothing else. Slate was waiting for us in the center of the ring, arms folded behind his back. His expression was carved from stone. The others slowed automatically, instinctively wary. "Get in formation," he said, glancing at me and holding my gaze a beat longer than was comfortable. His expression took my breath away, and I wanted to strangle him for it. How was I supposed to control my magic with him staring at me like that? Callie nudged me after he finally looked away. "Told you, you're the only one he does that with." Being the only person he gave the stare of death to didn't exactly feel like a benefit. "The games are less than 2 weeks away," he said. "From this point on, every session will mirror the real thing. No more basic drills, no more hand-holding. It's time to work as a team, so you'll be tested on your ability to work together and make a plan in an instant. Use your individual strengths, but make sure it works for the whole team in the context of the challenge." He lifted his hand, and the arena shifted beneath our feet. Platforms rose over jagged spikes, and metal bridges snapped into place as a labyrinth of twisting pathways formed above us. A gust of cold air swept through the arena, carrying a faint whisper that made the hairs on the back of my neck rise. "The objective," Slate said, "is to capture the banner. If you fall, you just died in the games. Treat this like your first round." Callie muttered under her breath. I think he missed his calling as a motivational speaker. Amusement tugged at my mouth, but it vanished when the ground beneath me trembled again. Shadows uncoiled from each platform and the surface of each bridge, forming into humanoid figures with no faces and long, clawed arms. They didn't wait for a signal. They attacked. Orion was the first to move, his magic forming into a translucent shield that curved in front of us like a rippling veil. Ilara spun to the side, slicing through a construct with a whip of blood-red energy that turned to steam as it struck. When Orion dropped the shield, Brim's magic hit it like a hammer. He drove his fist into the ground, and the floor cracked upward in a jagged line of stone spikes. "The banner's on the center platform," Callie yelled. "Follow me." She shifted into her crow form and led us through the maze of platforms and bridges, Brim taking out any shadow figures we reached along the way. At the back of the group, I did my best to stay light on my feet. As long as I didn't fall, everything would work out. Except that the second I stepped onto the bridge behind Alara, it twisted, shifting sideways. I stumbled, barely catching myself. "Focus, Bex." Slate's voice cut through the chaos. "Anticipate the challenges. Anything could be a trap. The ground beneath you can shift in an instant. Even if someone else just safely crossed a bridge, it can destabilize at any moment. A new construct could spawn right in front of you or directly behind you. The games are unpredictable at every turn, especially when you think you're winning." The mark under my skin pulsed, responding to his tone like a command. I didn't let it rattle me, though. Instead, I listened, trying my best to learn. The first try through the banner challenge, we won. Not a single death or fall either, which felt like a major triumph. Slate shifted the arena multiple times throughout the day, showing us tactics for how to communicate and how to navigate different types of challenges. Not every attempt was a win, but we were learning. As for my magic, though, I was still struggling to get control of it. Sometimes it was erratic and difficult to control. Other times it was elusive and impossible to connect to. Everyone else seemed to be comfortable with their abilities, but I still didn't even fully understand what mine were. Ilara had said the Order purposefully hides the true power of their witches to keep them loyal, but I was wondering if there was more to it than that. Sometimes, when I was particularly focused, I could feel something new reaching for the surface of my power, and sometimes, when I was pushed to the edge, shadows appeared on my hands. That was definitely not normal. But I didn't have time to figure it out right now. I needed to stay as focused as I could and try to keep my heart rate calm so I could control my magic as much as possible. We were running the banner challenge again when one of the constructs leapt in front of me, claws outstretched. I reacted on instinct, throwing up my hands. Light erupted from my palms in a blinding arc that ripped through the creature and shattered part of the bridge in the process. The bridge shuddered and shifted sideways under my boots. I jumped and caught the next platform by my fingertips, hauling myself up, breath burning. Dang it. There was too much to focus on all at once. I'd lost control. At least I hadn't fallen. Slate's voice echoed from somewhere above. "Anticipate," he called. "If the arena shifts, you move with it." I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to my feet, but my power was still surging through me. Every time I tried to channel it, it doubled back on me. We were finally finding a rhythm as a team, too, or something that resembled one, but I was the one messing it up. Orion anchored us with his shields while Ilara struck in bursts of crimson light, each motion deliberate and vicious. Callie swooped low, her magic shimmering as she distracted two of the shadow people long enough for Brim to crush them into dust. For a moment, I thought that despite my mess-up, we were going to win this one for sure. "Banner in sight," Callie shouted as she shifted back to her human form and darted toward the glowing flag on the highest platform. "Cover her," Slate's voice echoed across the ring. The others were still fighting a group of shadows on a lower platform, so I was the only one close enough to protect her. I gathered my power, watching for any sign of danger or shift in the course. That's when a construct suddenly materialized in front of the banner. It was larger than the rest, its claws dragging sparks as it lunged for Callie. She twisted away from its swing, laughing breathlessly. 3 more shadow constructs advanced on Callie's flank, and I lifted my hand, ready to fire. I was focused, connected to my core. I was ready for this. Then something shifted inside me. Shadows bled from my hands, twisting like smoke. The same kind I'd seen that day in the scarf challenge, only stronger, thicker. My breath caught. The more I tried to push them back, the faster they multiplied, curling up my arms, whispering against my skin. The magical energy inside my core amplified, running through me like lightning in my veins. I couldn't stop it. Bex, Callie's voice jolted me. I need you right about now. I can't, I shouted. Something's happening to me, Callie. You've got to move. Leave the banner. I screamed as the power tore through me. I held it for as long as I could, but suddenly a bright light detonated outward in a burst of heat. Callie! Before she could shift, Brim was there. He vaulted across the gap and pulled her into his arms, shielding her body just as the blast reached them. The sound of shattering stone echoed through the arena. The constructs disintegrated, but so did most of the platform. With Callie locked in his embrace, they both fell. My eyes widened, and a strangled sob escaped my throat. What have I done? Shocked, I ran after them as they landed in a cloud of dust. Was Callie okay? Had I hurt her? Brim dropped to one knee, the veins in his arm turning gray and rigid, cracks creeping up towards his shoulder in jagged fractures. When he opened his arms, Callie flew out of them, alive. I nearly fell to the ground in gratitude. I could have killed her. What the hell happened to me? Why does my power keep fluctuating? She shifted and stumbled back to him, coughing. Brim. Are you okay? He asked. When she nodded, he pushed himself up with a growl, dust falling from his shoulders. I've kept my silence for the sake of the group, but today it has gone too far, he said, turning in my direction. His voice shook with fury. This witch is too reckless, too unpredictable. She doesn't belong in this group, and I want her gone. If looks could kill, I would have died in an instant. I'm sorry, I said, my body shaking with fear and the aftershocks of a power that threatened to consume me. I don't know what happened. Slate should let the regent deal with you, he said, or haven't you ruined enough lives already? The words hit harder than the blast. There was something personal in the way he said ruined, something with my name on it long before today. The constructs evaporated, dissolving into violet mist. Platforms sank, the arena returning to its default state as Slate stepped between us, his shadow falling across the floor. I knew Brim was holding something against me, but I didn't know he wanted me dead. Is this how they all felt? We're done for the day, Slate said. But, Callie started. I said we're done, he snapped. The sound of it made even Alara flinch. He looked at Brim next. Have Lavender see to your injuries. Brim glared at him. You should worry less about me and more about your witch before she kills us all. Watch your tone, Slate warned, low and dangerous. Brim met his stare without flinching. You want us to fight as a unit? She's the weak link. We can't win with someone who doesn't even know what she is. The words sliced deeper than I wanted to admit. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't even know what to defend. My magic, my intentions, my right to be here. I couldn't defend any of that. I obviously didn't belong in this group, and I still didn't understand why I'd been put here. Slate's jaw tightened. All of you dismissed. He turned away before I could see his face. Orion, he said, and the tall wizard nodded. Slate didn't say a word to me. He just walked toward the far archway and vanished into the corridor. Callie lingered. It's not your fault, she said, though the look in her eyes told me she wasn't so sure. You're not weak, Bex. You just feel everything too much. That's not a bad thing. It is when it gets people hurt. I'm sorry. Callie squeezed my shoulder before following Brim toward the exit. Alara went next, her expression unreadable. Orion stepped up next to me, placing his hands in a prayer-like position in front of his chest. Take a break, get something to eat, and still your nerves for a few minutes, he said, and then meet me back here at dusk. Tonight? Why? He smiled. Because I am going to teach you how to control your power, before it destroys the whole shard. Later that night, I almost didn't go. Getting better fast enough didn't seem possible, and part of me wanted to give up, beg them to send me to do whatever those who failed the scarf challenge were assigned to do. But what kind of life would that be with no opportunity for freedom, no chance of understanding what was really behind all of this? When I finally made my way down to the arena, Orion was already there, sitting cross-legged in the center of the ring like a statue carved from marble. A circle of chalky sigils surrounded him, glowing faintly. "Sit," he said without looking up, "and breathe." I lowered myself opposite him, my knees aching. "My nerves are so wound up, I'm not even sure I can do that." His lips curved. "You can do so much more than you ever imagined. But start with a deep breath." He guided me through it. Slow inhales that filled the base of my lungs. Exhales timed to the steady beat of my heart. When I reached for my magic, it didn't lash out this time. It trembled, but it obeyed. "Your power is like water," he murmured. "It doesn't obey force, it obeys rhythm. Let your pulse lead, not your will." He took me through several simple exercises, each time starting with my breath and then tapping into my core power, letting it flow through me without overwhelming me. When I lost focus, he'd remind me quietly, "Control isn't about restraint, it's about harmony." By the end of the hour, my palms were sweating, but for the first time in days, the energy building inside my core didn't scare me. "Practice this every waking moment until you master it," he said. "Meet me just outside your room tomorrow before dawn." The next morning, he took me to a private room instead of the arena. I didn't like being separated from the rest of the group, but it wasn't up to me at this point. Besides, I wasn't sure I could face Brim. Inside the room, there were 2 crystal bowls filled with liquid light. "We trained with these in the Vale," he said, setting them between us. "Hold one, keep the surface still, no matter what happens." When I lifted the bowl, the glow inside rippled wildly, responding to every heartbeat. "You're using your mind to control it, and your mind is in a state of panic and confusion," he said. "Feel into the spaces between your thoughts. That's where the current steadies." I tried and failed. Tried again. The more I focused, the faster the shadows came, trying to tear me apart. Orion left me there to practice on my own as he joined the others in the arena. Would I ever get back there? I took Callie's pink crystal out of my pocket and set it on the floor in front of me, reminding myself that when things got difficult, there was a team out there waiting for me to come back stronger. When I asked about them later that night, Orion just told me to focus. When your mind wanders to anything other than the task at hand, you become vulnerable. Try it again. When I finally managed to hold the bowl steady for a full breath, he gave a faint nod. "Good," he said. "Now hold it longer." By the 3rd day, my shadows no longer came screaming to life every time I reached for my magic. They hovered at the edges instead, watchful and contained. "You're learning," Orion said when he returned from training, watching as I held both bowls of light steady between my palms. "The shadows aren't fighting you anymore." "They're still there," I whispered. "I can feel them watching me." "They've always been watching you," he said, "but now they are listening too." The thought sent a shiver through me. But why do I have them? That's not normal for a human witch, I know that much. The only time I ever saw someone with shadows like that. As thoughts of that knife sliding across my mother's throat came to mind, the light inside the bowls began to boil. Orion removed them before the magic became truly violent. He hesitated a moment before he spoke. "In the Vale, I trained those who carried 2 magics in one body, light and dark. Most didn't survive the imbalance." I looked up sharply. "Is that what's happening to me? Two different types of magic. How is that possible? I thought of what Lavender had said about the darkness inside this place and how eventually you had no choice but to become it. But I'd only been here for a few weeks. Why was it affecting me so much more than the others? What do you know about your father? I inhaled, going cold. Nothing, I said in a whisper. My mother refused to speak of him. Orion nodded, thinking. And your mother, she was a witch? I nodded. Are you certain that's all she was? He asked. A tear escaped down my cheek and I swiped it away. No? Her words came back to me in a rush. Your lives are worth a dozen of mine, she'd said 1,000 times. All of this means nothing if you don't survive. I always thought she'd said those things because she loved us. But what if there was more to it? Orion placed a fingertip under my chin and lifted my face to his. You, my dear girl, are very special. And while it is true that this place, this shard prison we're trapped inside, is full of horrors, it is also your destiny. I think everyone around you knows that in some way, whether they want to admit it or not. The weight of his words lingered long after he left. My destiny. If that was true, I wasn't sure I wanted any part of it. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. It had been days since I'd spoken to Callie and the rest of the team. What would happen to me if I couldn't master this in time? Was Slate planning to hand me over to the Regent? I'd felt her sentinel's eyes on me everywhere I turned, and I wonder if she had ways of watching us through the mirrors in our rooms or through the crystals themselves. After an hour of tossing and turning, I decided to make use of the time instead. I slipped out barefoot, moving silently through the barracks until I reached the team training ring. The arena was dark, except for faint threads of violet light coiling beneath the floor. I stood in the center, breathing the way Orion had taught me. Slow, deep, letting the current move with me instead of against me. When I raised my hand, steady light streamed from my fingertips. I aimed for the first focus crystal, then took a deep breath as I split the light into several threads, sending it to the next crystal in the line. For the first time, it felt easy. I smiled. See, I can do this. But then the light of my magic wavered, shifting to the rhythm of a different heartbeat. I gasped, feeling his presence well before I heard him. You shouldn't be here. Slate stepped out of the darkness, silver eyes catching the faint glow from the floor. He looked composed, but the energy rolling off him was anything but calm. See, I've been telling people that since the day I got here, but no one seems to want to send me home, I said, trying to make a joke, even though my heart was racing out of control. He moved closer, the light from below casting shadows all around us. Something clicked high among the platforms like a fingernail on glass. I shivered, searching the darkness for watchful eyes. Why did you tell me you knew Sabine? He asked, startling me and causing my mouth to go dry as a desert. Lavender must have told him about our conversation, which meant they trusted each other, shared information. I didn't, I said. You let me believe she sent you here on purpose. Why didn't you speak up? Maybe she did, I said. When he narrowed his eyes, I sighed. I wasn't ready to die, okay? And it seemed like that information held some kind of power over you, like you were afraid of her. I decided to use that to my advantage. The edges of his eyes tensed slightly, amused. Smart, but reckless. Surprisingly, not the first time I've heard that in my life, I said. He almost smiled then, causing my heart to flutter against my will. Were we having an actual conversation here, like real people? Who is she then, and why did she give me this? I asked, touching the pendant dangling from my neck. That's complicated, and we're too exposed out here, he said, glancing behind him. I owe her a favor, and that dragonfly is the sign that my bill has come due. I swallowed back regret and disappointment. So she forced you to put me on your team. That's why I'm here, when no one else thinks I should be, right? You think I'm a charity case. I think you don't understand what you are. Maybe that's true for both of us, I said, breathless. Tell me what I am, what you are. Tell me why our magic reacts like this when we're close, when we touch. Why did this woman I've never met save me from certain death and put me here with you instead? He hesitated, the muscle in his jaw tensing. I can't tell you that, he said finally, because I don't understand it myself. Silence stretched between us, charged and fragile. The mark on my chest flared, a spark of gold threading the air. The Regent wants me to break you, he said, stepping closer. My breath hitched, fear mixing with desire. Is that what you want? No. His voice dropped to a whisper. I'm trying to keep you from breaking everything else. The words stole the air from my lungs as he closed the distance between us. We were only inches apart now, his presence magnetic, dangerous, pulling me in with a power that was impossible to deny. I can handle myself, I said, though my voice trembled. He reached out, stopping just short of touching my arm. Can you? The mark between us flared bright gold, burning through the thin fabric of my shirt. The light hit his chest, and for an instant I saw it again, the faint pattern of runes glowing just beneath his skin. He stepped back sharply, and as quickly as it came, it vanished. Somewhere nearby, a sound in the distance. Go, he said, his voice rough, anger tensing every muscle. You're not the only one the Regent wants under her control. The air vibrated between us, thick with all the things neither of us could say. I wanted to stay here with him to get more answers, to be close to him, but someone was out there watching us. I ran, my steps little more than whispers in the night. No matter how fast I moved, it felt like someone was right there behind me. The crystals in the walls pulsed faintly, throwing restless light that made every shadow twitch. When I got to my room, I closed the door behind me and leaned against it, exhaling hard. But something felt off. The air was colder than before, disturbed in a way I couldn't put words to. I crossed to the small table where I kept my few belongings, folded uniforms, my night clothes, a comb, and the tiny pink crystal Callie had given me for luck. It wasn't where I left it. Instead, the crystal sat in the center of the table now, its surface dull and gray. I reached for it, but set it down immediately. It was icy to the touch. A single hairline fracture ran through the middle. Someone had been here. I turned in a slow circle, scanning the crystal walls. My reflection stared back from the mirror, wide-eyed as the space behind me rippled. For a heartbeat, another figure appeared in the reflection, tall, still, watching. I spun around, but there was nothing, no one, only the constant vibration of the shard's magic under my feet. Someone had been in my room, and someone was watching me. And I had the sudden, terrifying thought that if the Regent wanted me gone, she would not wait for the games to make it happen. End of episode. That door. I know you guys, some of you guys can hear that. I keep forgetting to turn it off. It's not easy to turn it off. I have to go through a bunch of stuff in the panel. But anyway, I was trying to read stuff. I'm like, did I see things about a chicken? What is happening with the chicken? Now I'm going to have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back. If they kissed, the shard would become the shards. I love that. Yeah, my door was like, "Dun, dun, dun." Oh my gosh. So there originally was this entire section was moving into the games a little bit faster, and there was going to be moments where they were in the amethyst shard, like, we were gonna see some of the shops, a party, some other things, and Callie the chicken came from a typo. Oh, no, a typo in my previous thing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will go check if I have a typo. I'm sorry. Um, ride or die chicken. Oh, no. Uh yes, you are going to wait. There will be no kiss just yet. Slow burn, slow burn. Oh, something that's so funny is that I was checking for my lighter because I wanted to light this candle that's called um ooh, don't spill, don't spill. It's called Calm the F Down. And I have just had a stressful few days. Please, oop, I didn't burn myself, but, the chicken is canon now. I love it. It's just been a rough few days. George's dad is in the hospital, and there's just a lot of things going on. So this story right now, this community is my, like, joy, my children, like, it's just I'm leaning into the joyful things. But anyway, I was like, "I'm gonna light this candle, calm the F down. It's gonna be fine." I wish I had more time to edit this, but I think it turned out fine. Um, but when I grabbed the lighter, um, I found all these little stickers I forgot I had, or I wasn't sure where to get them. So this one says "Sucker for books." This one says, "I read a lot, but I am so productive. It's an art." This one just says, don't forget to fill your own cup." And then this one's so perfect. "Slow burn, enemies to lovers, fated mates." Inspiration. I just snorted. Plot twist, I bought more books. And then this one just says "enemies to lovers." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, where have these stickers been all my life?" Ah, I love too that she says, "I can handle myself." It's like, you cannot, girl, you cannot handle yourself. You have zero ability to handle yourself. You do not even know what you are. Um, and I cannot wait for those reveals to come. But yeah, I think that part of what I'm excited for is it's difficult when you're trying to build this world and then have these 12 episodes that I'm trying to contain. And I'm thinking, like, okay, uh I need to introduce these characters more. And so I had this thought of, like, what if I create little moments where she gets to have private conversations with each of the characters, right? So we have Callie again. Yeah, it's a good question, but I'm not going to tell you. It will be a secret. Is she something new or something we've experienced in the shadow world before? Mm, you will have to wait and see, Kelly. But so we have this little moment with Callie at breakfast, and then we have this, like, uh, days of training with Orion, who is so patient and so still with her. And, you know, also another thing that I love is that, here we have the regent putting this pressure on Slate. And if it's okay to say I love it and I wrote it, but anyway, I feel like it doesn't always come from me. But the that idea that the regent is pressuring Slate to break her, to take her to her knees, to, like, hurt her. And instead, in the moment when in this world of torture, other people would have seen it as justified to hurt her because she risked the whole team. Brim was calling for it, like, all these things. Instead of even saying a word to her or hurting her in any way, he says, "Orion," and Orion nods. So we know at that point they've had a conversation separately about, "I want you to help her." And that is so, like, unexpectedly caring of Slate, which is so out of character for him, who the first time we see him, he is literally pulling a sword out of someone's back. So yeah, this is Interesting. Oh my gosh. Listen, when we first watched K-pop Demon Hunters in June this summer from our trip, um, it I was just like, "Oh my gosh, these, like, patterns on the skin, the, like." Yes, so many things, and that song "Free" is just like, if you listen to it, you're gonna hear Slate and Bex as well. I know, I know. I would like to see the conversation that was had too, so I'm like, "Should I r go back and add some of these places in potentially?" Yes, Orion or Orion, like the constellation Orion. Um Other than Brim, they all seem to care about Bex at least a little bit. So then the question is, what in the heck does Brim have against her? Right? He says, or haven't you ruined enough lives already? So so many little things. And part of what I am um keeping track of as I go and trying to pull together is just the different threads of story. And part of the most difficult thing of storytelling when you're trying to build a multi-character world, but in one person's POV so far, really, I mean, we had a tiny bit of Slate, but we will get more. Um, is really figuring out when's the right time to have those reveals. And it's I think what's part of, the challenge for me in this particular format is the idea of I'm not because I'm changing the ending in ways that I didn't expect, like, basically all of episodes 9 through 12 are gonna be complete rewrites because just so much of it has changed, and so much of this stuff that I had written for this is moving to book 2 because it was just too, like, um, rushed. So, now I'm like, "Okay, well, we're gonna try to write 5,000 words a day or whatever, and it's gonna be fine." Um, yes, so there's, oh, what is this? Connection to other series. There's a Sabine in Crescent City, and the main male character, Hunt, is actually named Orion. That's interesting. I've never read any of, S.J. Moss's books before. Um But it's not a purposeful connection to anyone else's series. It's a connection to my own series. I love that we're all begging you for more details. I love that. I do love that for sure. Yeah, The Hunger Games has Prim, The Shadow Games has Brim. We will definitely hear, more about Brim, and that's gonna start coming to a head in the next couple of episodes. So, it's just gonna be an interesting wild ride because I sat down to try to figure out, okay, if I'm changing this, what am I going to do, uh, in terms of plotting this out and making sure that it gets done on time, and that has been part of it. Yeah, so, like, the tracking part is definitely part of what I learned from Vanessa Shaw. Like, I've always tracked threads, from series to series, trying to make sure that things don't get mixed up or I don't drop a thread for too long, but I learned so much more in that series in terms of balancing so many different clues and threads and points of view. So, hopefully I'm getting better at it. I know it's not gonna be perfect, but you know, I am doing my best, and it makes me happy that you're enjoying it. So thank you for coming back day after day to come read it with me and so on. I haven't uploaded this yet to the back end. For those of you that are in the Broken Chapter Society, you do get access to the actual written words. Also, don't forget to put episode 8 on the screen if you can, or not on the screen, in the chat. And I will pick a winner for these episode pages as well. But yeah, I don't feel like I can't say I have no idea what's going to happen because I do have it sketched out, but at the same time, I am saying I this story might surprise even me, because I originally did not at all have that episode or that piece of the episode with Orion. The only piece of this episode that really was already written was her conversation with Callie and a little bit of the training sequence. The rest of it is all brand new. So, here we go. We'll see how it ends up. But anyway, let's pick a winner. I'll give you guys just a couple seconds to get any more hashtag episode 8s in there. and we'll get it in. Just jumping in, so I missed it, but excited for the replay. It's here for you, Erin. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your kind and encouraging comments as well. If you want to watch this unfold as I'm writing, then I'm doing daily vlogs over on my Heart Breathings channel as well. Cassie, what? Cassie Ray from the parent teacher line. I have your address, my dear. Send me an email if you would like to remind me of it so I can have it. But congratulations. You have gotten my chapter pages for episode 8. Cassie is one of my ride or die chickens. So funny. Okay. I feel like I have definitely calmed the F down now that I've actually read it. I literally sat down to lunch with George at 12:30 and was like, there's entire sections of this not written, like part of that final conversation with Orion and that entire last piece with Slate got written in the last 2 hours before. So this is when the craziness starts to become truth. So it's all good. But I think I pulled it off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you loved it. And Friday we will be back for another big Fridays are the biggest episodes of the biggest turning points. So we will see some big items, big things happening on Friday. And next week we will be firmly into the Amethyst games where it is life or death. And it's going to be fun. If you are in the Broken Chapter Society, we will have the BCS breakdown immediately after or 15 minutes after. So we'll do coffee chat or readings with a little bit of coffee chat from 4 to 5 p.m. and then 5:15 to 6, we will do BCS breakdown with everybody. And then next week, we will read episodes 10, 11, and 12. And then the following week, we'll just go back to normal Friday coffee chats, and we'll hang with that until I am ready to read book 2. But next week, I will reveal to you the title and cover of ATOT and some fun stuff with that too. So I'm going to see if I can also put together the special edition. It's not going to be like super special edition, but just maybe like purple edged edition paperback that will be signed of A Mirror of Shadows. So be ready for that. Yes, breakdown continuing through each episode. For the 12th, where the 12th episode, we might do a longer BCS breakdown, or we might add an extra one on release day. We shall see. But all right, you guys, thanks so much for being here. I am actually, out of all the things, I am running a meeting tonight for the room moms for the 8th grade fundraiser. So it's just like there's a million things going on. Andrew has a baseball game. So I'm probably going to take some of the evening off to de-stress, but I will be writing all day tomorrow. So if you want to be a part of that experience, check out the vlogs over at Heart Breathings. And yeah. All right. That's it for today, you guys. Maybe I'll have a new intro on Friday, but we'll see. All right. Bye, everybody. I love you.